Boxing King Media in association with Boxer. Delighted to have with me from Daily Mail, Jeff Powell. Jeff, great to see you here for the anti-Joshua and Hellenius press conference. Firstly, how are we?
I'm very well. I don't know what state the fight promotion is in, but I'm fine.
So Saturday afternoon, we're all probably enjoying our lunches, and all of a sudden on social media we get the comms that Dillian Whyte has failed a VADA test. There was an adverse finding in his samples. Just your immediate reaction when you heard that?
Well, it's difficult to be surprised at the moment with what's going on in boxing, especially in this country. There's so much controversy around drugs at the moment. There's also a history of controversy with Dillian Whyte in drugs. So while it's extremely unfortunate, and if he's guilty of anything, it's really an abuse of the sport. But having said that, it didn't come as a great shock. I'm glad that this time it was dealt with promptly. We didn't have a situation where he went into the ring against Oscar Rivas, and Oscar Rivas didn't even know that there was he tested possibly positive for something, which was absolutely disgraceful. Subsequently, of course, he was exonerated of another charge, so it's not come as a shock, but it's unfortunate for the sport of boxing at the moment. The Conor Ben Farrago sort of runs on and on, still not apparently finally cleared, and I think the public are becoming dubious about the health of the sport as a consequence of all this. That's the most important factor here today.
In terms of Dillian Whyte, what do you think his next steps are? Of course, he wants to prove himself innocent, but he's not a British license holder as well. We found out quite recently as well. So where does that put this whole situation?
Well, he's at the tail end of his career anyway, and if this drags on, as all the investigations tend to do so for months, even years on end, this is possibly the final curtain for him.
Anti-Joshua, the last time he was in this situation, he has been in this situation before, was Big Baby Miller, when he tested positive for many different substances in his body. He fought Andy Ruiz. Yes, he had a few extra weeks' notice, but where do you think Anti-Joshua's mindset is ahead of Hellenius on Saturday night?
And get the job done as quickly as possible, which shouldn't be a great problem for him. If it is, then he's in a far steeper state of decline than we imagined. And if you can't deal with Hellenius quickly, efficiently, and hopefully explosively to give the fans something to cheer about, it will be a bit of a bad sign for him.
Are you content with Hellenius as an opponent? We know Andy Ruiz threw his name in the hat, Otto Wallin, Joseph Parker, Martin Bacoli. You had heavyweights on this card in Hrgovic, in McKean, in Chisora, in Washington. Are you content with Hellenius as the final opponent?
Well, some of that list you'd have thought would be much more valid opponents than Hellenius, who's in his 40th year. Last time but one he was out was knocked out by the first punch Deontay Wilder threw. So, his credentials are not fantastic. There are others on that list which wouldn't be too wonderful either. So clearly, if you're not going over Hrgovic, then you've got your eyes on the Joshua Wilder fight and all the money that's going to bring in.
Does this whole situation with the board, with UKAD, with drug testing, does it need an overhaul? Do we need some changes and this clear clarity on what the process is?
Yes, it does. And there should be protections for the people who are trying to police the sport from excessive legal action. UKAD are becoming absolutely ridiculous. The lack of transparency. The sport and its fans and the boxers who don't cheat deserve immediate revelation of somebody possibly testing positive, immediate action as to what's being done about it. Otherwise, everyone's living in a fog. The clean fighters don't know what's going on, whether they're fighting clean boxers. The public don't know whether they're watching fair and legitimate contests, and the law is not being executed with transparency, and that's absolutely vital. UKAD have got to come out in all the sports they cover. There's been masses of problems with Olympic sports and with cycling and as well, and so on. And now with boxing, it's absolutely ridiculous. It can take a year or two to come to a conclusion on a drugs test. These things can be done in weeks, if not days. And if they carry on like that, they will remain an absolutely useless body.
Jeff, I appreciate your time. I think we are allowed in now. The undercard press conference is due to start very soon. So I appreciate your time and look forward to hopefully a great night of boxing on Saturday.
Hopefully, just let's hope AJ deals with it quickly and briskly.
Jeff Powell for Boxing King Media, thank you very much.
Thank you.